I thought I'd start just a few minutes talking about my perspectives over the last nearly 12 months, I think, since I joined Microsoft. I know a few people, were very curious. I've talked to this event a few times, I think, over the last few years. I was certainly here last year, and I was obviously in a very different capacity last year than this year. And one of the things that people get asking me is what I was saying with Jim. He's like, "Why did you join Microsoft?" I mean, for a long time on the outside, I was an MVP for I think 10 years. BizTalk Server first, and then Microsoft integration. And I know a bunch of you in this room. So why did I join? And I'll give my perspective as well, because I think what we've managed to achieve in just a few months is pretty mind-blowing. I think we went through a lot of change where we really figured things out and did a lot of kind of looking at where we were, across BizTalk, across a bunch of things, and we've really mobilized and energized and built a team designed to succeed in this space. To Saravana's point, opening the event, there's just no question at how integration has changed in the last few years. 10 years ago, I think it moved pretty slowly. BizTalk was a groundbreaking product, 2000 through 2004. Some really great innovation in that product, really, moving the needle in terms of what you could do with an integration product. And we're doing it again with Logic Apps. So what this means is, we've organized around a centralized integration strategy and how we can deliver across both of these pieces. You've seen evidence of that this morning already, the way we're integrating BizTalk Server and Logic Apps, and we're going to continue to do more. So, to the point from Jim, we want to hear what you guys think. That's why we're here. So that's why, I joined Microsoft. I saw the things that we could do. And the great team that people were building, and I wanted to be part of that. And I'll just throw in, because it's a perfect opportunity. If you want to join us, then we're hiring. So just go and grab anybody. You still have plenty of opportunities left to join the team. So with that said, let's think about where we are with BizTalk. So 2016 is the 10th release of BizTalk Server. That's 16 years of leading the industry, at least when you look at the way Gartner look at this and Forrester look at this, and even our competitors. I was in a meeting with SAP actually just before I joined Microsoft, and even SAP, and it was a customer briefing to one of their customers, positioned us as the #1 integration broker in the world across all on-prem middleware integration products. So with that, I think there's a lot of acknowledgement. Certainly Jim called this out in terms of the responsibility that we have in that space and how we can move the BizTalk agenda forward along with the integration agenda in general. So where you're seeing where we're at now is we shipped CDP 1 of BizTalk Server end of March. That's available for anybody to download, use, try out, give us feedback, and tell us what you think. Hopefully a whole bunch of people in the room here have already done that. I know we've had hundreds of sign-ups through a Connect to be able to get access to the bits. So really appreciate the feedback people have already given, but keep it coming. So that's where we are today. CDP 2 is coming in the summer time frame. Before I get into that, I'll just focus a little bit in case you're not aware of the benefits we've already announced at BizTalk Server 2016 and the things we've already added to the CDP 1 that you can download today and try for yourselves. And these are really around high availability improvements. BizTalk for a long time has had dependencies on active-passive clustering in SQL Server, things like log shipping, etc. And we're really modernizing that experience through support for SQL Always On. Platform refresh, obviously, there's the table stakes. You saw me already using Visual Studio 2015 in the demos. Full support for that, as well as Windows 2016, SQL 2016, Office 2016, and everything you would expect through making sure that the connectors work with the latest version of the Oracle SDKs, etc., etc. But one of the things we've really focused on in this release is addressing customer asks and pain points. There's a whole bunch of them, and I've got a slide I'll pull up that really shows, from what may look like relatively, minor improvements, but that one guy or a bunch of people out there who've just like, this thing's really annoyed me for years. Can you guys just fix it? We did a bunch of stuff like that in 2016. As well as some, very interesting, engine enhancements, improvements, performance improvements, and Sanju's here to keep me honest if I say anything out of line. So So some really great stuff that we put into 2016, not just these kind of headline features and the new capabilities, the connectivity logic apps, but some fundamentals as well. And as part of that, this is around cloud connectivity. So, giving more flexibility in terms of how you can do BizTalk integration, how we can extend BizTalk's reach to the cloud. And that doesn't just mean, connecting your existing assets on-prem through BizTalk to the cloud, but actually moving BizTalk to the cloud as well. The ability to host IaaS workloads in Azure with high availability, because that's been a long-term customer ask as well that we've addressed through 2016. So, what's new? Well, 2016 always on support. We're leveraging the capabilities that 2016 has, or SQL 2016 for MSDDC support. That's enabled us to do all the testing and engineering work to make sure that we have a great experience running BizTalk Server on IaaS. The platform refresh I mentioned, you can get out of some DBAs, never really like the how this log shipping setup and active passive clustering, and now you have more choice in terms of how you manage your BizTalk environments, which is always a good thing. More consistency in the approach. The customer-driven improvements, here's the some of the list. There's a whole bunch of other things as well, things that we've done, to have all been customer asks and things that people have, really wanted us to prioritize for this release. I'm just going to move straight past this, so you guys have access to the slide. I'm not just going to call them out one by one, because I know to a lot of people who've used BizTalk for a long time, they're all kind of equally important for different groups of people to overlap in this space. So let's move on to the interesting stuff. What's new for CDP2? So it's kind of interesting that because of the momentum we're building around this, we've actually had the opportunity to add new capabilities during the CDP process. So we're not just, what you saw, a month and a half ago with CDP1 isn't, the final product. It's not just about bug fixes from here on in and, performance improvements, all that kind of stuff. We're actually adding new capabilities to BizTalk Server as well. And I'm going to get into more detail around what you saw in the keynote, but these are around the new BizTalk Logic Apps adapter and the BizTalk connector from Logic Apps down to BizTalk Server to provide this seamless integration between the two products, to enrich the capabilities and make them better together. Each one of them can do things that the other one can't, and when we put them together, it really opens up some interesting scenarios. Excuse me, I should have said I'm recovering from a cold as well, so I apologize if I cough at once or twice during this. Okay. So here's the kind of this BizTalk the Logic Apps scenario that I just showed earlier. So let's go into a bit more detail with this. So if I flip back to my VM. So here's the orchestration I showed earlier. Now, if I pull back into the admin console, when you look at these send ports, let's just create a new one to sort of show you what this looks like. So if I create a new send port, we support both one-way and solicit response, and obviously the other way around as well with receives. And I click on this, and I click Logic App, I configure, then the experience is if I log into Azure, this will be interesting to see if this works. Pick a subscription. Okay, beautiful. Resource group, good grief. I've forgotten we had so many. And you can see the experience, here's all the Logic Apps that I've created. They're in my resource group, and I can just pick from any one of these. So, I've already showed some of these today already. So, BizTalks to Salesforce.com. And, interestingly, Logic Apps supports multiple triggers as well. So we expose that, so you can pick the trigger that you want to actually fire in Logic Apps. You can also specify HTTP headers here, so you can pass those as well if you need to. And that's really, it. When you do that, you've got a send port that you can create your orchestration against and just consume a Logic App. So I won't run through that again, but that's the experience. When you go from Logic Apps to BizTalk, things are interesting here as well, because we've actually plugged into the connector architecture in Logic Apps to be able to do that. So if I go back to the portal and create a new Logic App, some reason it's a tad slow today. Let's call this Integrate 2016. Okay. This is my Logic app. I'm going to open that up. So I can just start this thing with HTTP request. So when an HTTP request is received, some great enhancements that Jeff will talk about are around. Now presents me the URL that I can post straight to rather than going and finding it in the portal. But now I can type in BizTalk. When I type in BizTalk, I get the new BizTalk capabilities light up right here in Logic Apps. So click Send Message. I specify my receive location. As I said earlier, what it's doing now is it's going to the REST API. It's going to enumerate those endpoints, and these are exactly the same endpoints. As I flip over here and I look at the receive locations in BizTalk, or the receive ports in BizTalk, I've got a few of them. I've got order in, update, and I'll see those represented over here. So you can see new order, order update, etc. So I can just pick one of these.
Are you doing any filtering for only HTTP receive, or are you showing all this in the session?
We're showing all of them right now. Yeah. So there's some work we're still doing around this. I think we really wanted to show this to you guys this week. So what we're showing you is a bit more than this is working bits, and this is feedback is appreciated at this stage because we're still sort of I guess ironing out some of these kind of usability things. So we can definitely improve on that, and we will do around the CDP2 timeline and beyond, for the timeline for these features. So I can then specify the body, and I'm done. Now, if I actually did a change connection here, I'll show you this experience. I've got my BizTalk on-prem. I can actually create a new one. I can give it a connection name and then a BizTalk server URL, and then it just connects down, and I can actually, and again, we'll add some more fields to this, and I'll actually create a connection to my BizTalk server wherever that is, and then I can use that connector in Logic Apps to start pushing data to it. And we have some great new features in Logic Apps that makes working with XML very easy. So now it's very straightforward for me to post in an XML message into a Logic App, do some work on that message, and then send it to BizTalk. BizTalk will do some further work on that and send a response back. And then integrate back into Logic App, and Logic App can continue. So we really are blending these together. Yeah.
So the BizTalk server URL, is that a public endpoint you're exposing BizTalk, or how do you see the BizTalk server from the cloud?
So right now it is, yeah. So BizTalk, so this is you need some. So this is the HTTP endpoint that BizTalk exposes, right? So you need some way of connecting to it over HTTP. So you have to open that up in the way you would do if you're doing web service publishing from BizTalk today. You do something similar to make it accessible from the outside, right? This opens up a few. Hopefully, some of you are already thinking about this. Opens up some new possibilities. To the the point I make around the differences and opportunities between the two different paradigms between BizTalk Server and Logic Apps. So with the connectors and adapters, we support solicit response as well as request response. So you can have Logic App or BizTalk initiated processing, and either one of those can wait for a response from the other one before continuing. I also have one-way fire and forget from either, so that you can do a fire and forget from Logic Apps. Calls BizTalk, and BizTalk will just process and end without the Logic App waiting for a response, and vice versa. We can do all of the standard patterns that BizTalk has provided support for a long time. But it adds some new capabilities as well, some of which aren't immediately obvious. One of the things that, or a couple of things that BizTalk customers often need to do are things like polling web service endpoints, right? Or just sort of hitting an endpoint, HTTP endpoint, and waiting for something to arrive and then picking it up and processing it. That's not something that comes out of the box natively with BizTalk. There are solutions around for that, and there are third-party adapters which enable that capability. But this actually provides a capability to do that straight from a Logic App, because Logic App has the ability to poll on HTTP endpoints and a bunch of other things. You saw the Salesforce connector being able to do that as well, and polling for changes in Salesforce and then pushing them down to BizTalk server. So you kind of get that capability as well. The other thing it lets you do is run on a schedule, which is another common thing that people implementing BizTalk solutions want to be able to do is, I want to run this orchestration at 3 o'clock in the morning, or every Tuesday, or every hour. I'm going to drink some of this water. Every hour. And you get those capabilities as well because you can essentially use the Logic app to schedule the work, and once that event's occurred, the Logic app can poke BizTalk, and BizTalk can run a process for you. The third thing is, the ability to consume BizTalk capabilities. BizTalk has a rules engine. BizTalk has the ability to be able to expose that rules engine as a service by wrapping it in orchestration or something else, and then being able to call that from a Logic app as well. And where this is interesting is where you have existing business processes. If you're an existing BizTalk customer, and I know a lot of you are, and have been using BizTalk for a number of years, you've got existing processes, a lot of which run on-prem, a lot of which integrate with line of business systems. And you just want to extend that, either extending that to the cloud or extending that logic in with new connectors and capabilities that we've got with Logic apps. And that's really what this facilitates, the ability to be able to take existing processes that you've got, and rather than having to think about moving that whole lot or rewriting from scratch or anything else, you can actually augment those with the new Logic apps capabilities to be able to do that. So the final thing I was going to cover was around the repaint. Excuse me. So you might have noticed there's a few changes here and there around here. So we've been doing some work with our design team around modernizing and improving the look and feel of BizTalk Server. Something we've not done for like a long time, and something that we really wanted to do to bring into the standard kind of look and feel of Windows 10 and Server 2016. So we've kind of done a repaint of all the images and icons and things around the product already. You see that in the admin console here. If I click on these things, you can see the larger versions of these icons. We missed one here, but if I click on this, you can see what the resources look like. Just a general, improvements to the product. The start and stop buttons are all changed and refreshed. They're all this sort of flat Windows feel about them, single color, just to show that we care about your experience when using the product. And also in the orchestration design, this is something we literally got done this week. And again, massive thanks to Sanjeev. Is we have let's just zoom in a bit. We have these icons all working. We have these icons all. Oops, that's far too much. All kind of repainted as well in the orchestration designer. Let's try that again. For some reason, there's horrendous lag on this on this laptop. And we're going to keep doing this. So we have the toolbox as well. We're going to update that. We've got the various publishing wizards and other pieces, the rules composer, etc., etc. And we're going to go through all of that. We've done a lot of the image work already. We just need to finish that work off the design team. And really, improve the look and feel of the product for you guys. I know some people have been asking for this for a long time as well, and it's great to be able to show you this today. As I said, a lot of small but subtle improvements, and a lot of big ones as well.
Are you doing any functional changes as well, or is it just freshening up the UI?
Functional changes to the way the UI works, you mean? No, I don't think so at this stage. That introduces some additional complexity, especially in the timeline of like a CDP, where we then have to go through the kind of whole usability and accessibility testing and all the rest of it. So this is kind of treat this as a kind of first pass of kind of updating the experience. You can see here, just some of the screenshots that I took across the product that you'll see light up in the CDP2 timeframe. And that takes me on to the final piece here, which is when am I going to see this stuff? Well, I mentioned CDP1 is already available and for you guys to use. CDP2 comes out in the summer, and then we're aiming for RTM later in the year, Q4, early Q4 at this stage. Okay, as part of that, we're also going to be running a TAP program. So this is a nomination only program. So if you have customers or you are customers interested in using some of the new features of BizTalk Server 2016, then reach out to me. Jim's already given everybody my email address. So just ping me if you're interested and you have a great scenario that you think can really leverage the new capabilities of BizTalk. We can certainly consider you for in consideration in that TAP program. The great thing you get from TAP is obviously the BizTalk product group access and working with us directly. So kind of really a call to action, download CDP1, try it out. talk to us about TAP participation I just mentioned and give us feedback. We got a DL you can use. We got this is actually something you'll see when you sign up for the TAP. For the CDP access. You can just send us mail. We sit on that mailbox and respond to feedback we get, whether it's the setup experience or whether it's new features. You know, we love to hear about that stuff. And then finally, you know, please, you know, reach out to us. Reach in. We've got a number of vehicles. We have the BizTalk blog. We've been posting a lot of the new feature documentation around that and how you can use the new pieces. We have the integration advisors, which, you know, all this whole team participates in. We talk about whatever's hot that month, the new features across, you know, BizTalk, Logic Apps, etc. You know what we're doing really, and give you, and including the webcast as well, is sort of a live view about where the team is at and what we're currently working on. So, you know, one of the things I'd say, you know, again, perspective on joining Microsoft, you know, people said to me, you know, for years on the outside, well, you do realize that, you know, we don't really get this stuff much earlier than you do. And you go, yeah, sure you do. You've been playing with this for months. You know, why do you sit on it for so long? But actually, the way we work today, you know, people get stuff really quick. As I mentioned, you know, we don't sit on this stuff for very long at all, which is why the work we're doing right now in building out the new adapters and new connectors, we really want to make that available to you guys as soon as possible. And on that, you know, the plan is that we want to make the adapter, so the BizTalk to Logic Apps connectivity available in the CDP2 timeframe, so the summertime, and we want to make sure that everything's available in the box by RTM. If we can beat that, then we will, but, you know, just give you an idea of timeline. You know, we really want to get this stuff in people's hands as quickly as we possibly can. So if there's any questions, then just shout them out. Otherwise, you can grab me afterwards. And thank you very much.